What up, world? Back again. It's your boy Big XL Country Rap Report. All right, if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. All right, please subscribe to the channel. Please hit that notification bell. Please give me a thumbs up if you like the content. And if you're not watching our premiere, then make sure if you're part of the replay game, get in that comments area and let us know what you want us to talk about when it comes to this genre. Now, for all our first-time viewers, we are the Country Rap Report. All right, Country Rap Report is a platform that covers the genre of country rap, whether we're talking about country rap hot topics, whether we're doing reactions on some of the latest music, whether me and my guy Chief are doing reviews on some of the hottest videos, or if we're doing what we're going to do today, exclusive artist interviews. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you know I like to keep my intros really, really short because I want to give you guys the time to get to know the person we're talking to on these interviews. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Country Rap Report. My guy, BB Swing. What's up, man?
How you doing? How you doing?
Man, I am doing amazingly great, man. I always like to start the show out by letting my guests know, first and foremost, you could be doing anything else right now. And if you're giving me the opportunity to talk to you and tell your story, I'm very humbled and welcome to the platform.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, man, let's take them way, way back. I like to call these interviews conversations, but conversations about you. And I like taking a walk. I like to feel like we're taking a walk down the street and we're getting to know who you are. And I want these people, when they hit stop, I want them to know any and everything about BB Swing. For there won't be no mistakes, no I wonder ifs.
Right. I got it. Hey.
So let's take them on that BB Swing journey. First and foremost, where are you from?
I was born and raised in Massillon, Ohio. And right in between Massillon and Canton, Ohio. Canton, Ohio is the Hall of Fame city. That's where they got the Football Hall of Fame, stuff like that. It's pretty rough city over there, but right on the edge and the outskirts of that is a lot of country. So I grew up right outside of them, in the first 10 years of my life in the sticks, dirt floor, bathroom type sticks, straight to like the country projects when I was about, 10 years old. They have a lot of like old Indian reservations and stuff like that they turned into projects back, 30 years ago when I was a kid. And that's where I grew up at for the next 10 years. So my array of music too, I'm 50 years old. So music is pretty big. You know what I mean? I got to see a lot of the great music and the great artists during that time. It influenced a lot of my music. Grew up without a father till I was 15, 16. I met my father and turned out he was a pretty talented musician. And I was already rap music wasn't a thing you could do at this time. Like people weren't doing rap music. It was just like garage bands and stuff like that around. So I did what was available. I did, I had a real soulful country voice back then, but I did more like the rock, whatever was out at the time. That's what I was doing. Soon as hip hop became something you could do, I did it. You know what I mean? I jumped on that board.
All right.
But, go ahead.
Let me ask this question. You said you met your father for the first time at 15 years old. What was that encounter like for you?
Well, I had grew up without a father up to that point, and my mom raised me with her sister who had 5 boys. So it was, 2 moms and 6 boys growing up. Me and my one cousin was the same age. We grew up we slept in the same bed till we was 15. Okay. So my mom married a guy who she's still with, who ended up changing his life. But at the time, he was pretty much like a drill sergeant. So I went from having a no father to a drill sergeant, you know what I mean? And that didn't work out too good. So we got to a little bit of a squabble. And I, for the first time ever, asked who my real dad was. My mom gave me his information. He worked at a music store. I called him. We got together. He came and act like he wanted to be with me. He passed away since of a drug overdose. But he came pick me up. I mean, truth be told, the second day I was with my father, he showed me how to rock up cocaine and smoke cocaine. He did a lot of my dad was all messed up in the head. Very talented, but it was a rough childhood, let's just say. So from about that point on, I was on my own. And I did what I could. I lived in Canton a lot, in a lot of little neighborhoods and worked and did music. And where I was from, what the BB stands for. This is kind of funny. You're gonna laugh, but you got my Gmail, so you know. The BB stands for big balls. When I was a kid growing up in the projects, they used to call me Santa Claus. I wear this like white hat on my head during Christmas time. We'd all stand around in the projects and smoke weed. And, it was, hey, there's Santa Claus, and I turned into Santa Balls and then just big balls.
Okay.
Man, truth be told, that name carried on for 20 years. If you dig back into my past, you'll see I worked with Lil Wayne, Baby. I'm on songs with, I did songs with them. I did a song with Wayne when he was 12 and Baby. Flew to New Orleans, 25,000 cash. Did a song with them. Got a big record deal. I don't know if you know Lil Joe Records.
Absolutely.
That's my first record deal. Lil Joe, you know what I'm saying? Joe Weinberger. That's my, I remember that dude. Yeah, we was eating oxtail down there in Miami. He was sitting there spinning his Rolex ring. I knew then I was somewhere, you know what I mean? But he put out those songs with Wayne. Then they flew me back. I did a song with BG the day he shot the Bling Bling video. I was with BG that day. And they had just drug him out of a heroin house because I was outside smoking a blunt. And they was pissed because I got him to talk on the song before. I was like, hey, man, say something, say something. So he was on there like, big balls on the track, blah, 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 whatever he did. And I heard Baby out in the hallway bitching. You ain't supposed to talk on the track. That's extra money. That's extra this, that's extra that. And but I caught him outside. I was smoking a blunt. And then he told me the story about he had a heroin addiction at the time. And he got busted with a key of heroin. They drug him out. With that day, when I walked into Cash Money Records, the FBI was in there looking for Baby Brian Williams. I ain't kidding you. It was that's a real story there. But I was there through their beginning. I was there with them, and I was touring with them. Did a few shows with them, but I was under contract at the time, and I was going through hell getting out of this contract, and I ended up getting caught up in a contract, some real Suge Knight type shit for about like 4 or 5 years. By that time, all the white rappers came out. I was in my mid-30s, and I thought my career was over. I did. All the Bubba Sparkses, all the Eminems, all the Haystacks, And I had known a lot of these dudes along the way, and they'll tell you if you talk to them. Truth is, I was feeding their ears long before I got a couple years on all of them. So I've been in their ear for like, do this, do it like that, Right. I can remember Haystack calling me, asking me, why ain't you out here with me? Why ain't you out here? And I'm like, man, I'm stuck under this contract. Back then it was a real thing. Ooh, nowadays people just jump and go. They don't give a shit. They'll go do a show here, show here. Long story short, Haystacks wanted to change my name to BB Swing. I did about 40 songs for him, and we were recording, and I played a little guitar lick before a song, and he said, BB Swing on that horse. Man, if somebody would have I've heard every version of Big Balls you can imagine, like Big Beluski, Big Kahunas, Big Nut, Giant this, you name it. I've heard them all. But when he said BB Swing, man, I was like, oh, shit. And the record label called and was like, we got a spot for one more person. And you want to go on tour? What you want to go by? Mike Owens, BB Swing, or Mike Owens, Big Balls? I was like, man, I'm changing my name right now, BB Swing. And that was it. 3 months later, you search BB Swing. Because I'm telling you, when you search Big Balls, you had to search through 40 sets of nuts before you found it.
Right.
Yeah, so there he is, right there in the middle there.
I want to pause you because you said something. So I want to backtrack a little bit because I want people to get a little context. So you mentioned being in Ohio, and at the time, rap wasn't so prevalent. You had a lot of garage bands. What drew you into hip hop? What let you know?
Well, before that, I was doing hip hop before that. Like because all my friends and stuff, like I was listening to the Fat Boys. You name it. Everything was. I was beatboxing, all of that, but nobody was doing it live. So the only people I could find doing music was these long-haired dudes in the garage, you know what I mean? So I went and bought me some water moccasins, and I turned into a rock star for like 3 months. But I ain't gonna lie, I had a blast, man. I had a blast doing it. It helped me It taught me this because I got a really soulful voice. So, and I always thought that like singing R&B and singing soul music and country was a lot harder than singing rock music. I used to think that, but that ain't true. Because when you sing rock music, the note is straight and heavy and it's got to be on, you know what I mean? And they're usually up there. So once I learned, it actually stretched my vocal cords. It helped me out a lot. You know what I mean? It helped me become a better artist all the way around and made me be a better guitar player too. So.
Okay. And you mentioned Lil Joe. Just to give these people a little context, they're not minding your age. A lot of these people are younger than you. So Lil Joe, for anyone watching this show, Lil Joe kind of came along in the hip hop game. Basically, he's mostly known for buying Luther Campbell's, Luke Skywalker, Two Live Crew. He's known for purchasing their catalog. That's kind of what he put out a Two Live Crew album minus Luke. And so that's what Joe kind of jumped in the game. He had a lot of bread back in the day.
Yeah, he was a lawyer, you know what I mean? And so I remember, here's the real thing about this. This will really bring back some memories to you and anybody that digs. Okay. Two Live Crew put out a song called Pop That Coochie. And it got banned by the US government. They banned it. And so they put out a song. Remember, who was it? Bruce Springsteen had the song Born in the USA. They put out a song called Banned in the USA. And Joe Weinberger was their lawyer. And they sued the federal government. And the video, if you watch the video to this day, it's the court session when they was in court and won. They won $300 million. And that's where, you know, Joe, I mean, because I'm on albums with Tupac, Big Pun, Trick Daddy, JT Money. I mean, Oaktown 357, Two Live Crew, you know, because of Joe. You know what I mean? Joe, he would buy up all that material and put those albums out. They're still out. He remixed that song I did with Lil Wayne 50 times. There's 14 versions of it out there.
What's it like, man, having the type of history that you have and being able to say, man, that you rub elbows with some legendary people, some still here, some gone? Like, what does it feel like, bro? Because these stories got to be some amazing stories to be able to sit around and tell the grandkids, the great grandkids.
They are. I do. It's fun telling them. Here's the thing about it. I run a big sports bar in the area, you know, so I'm like everyone thinks I'm the owner, but I'm not, you know, I'm that type of presence at this place. And I get caught up talking to people and I realize that I don't tell them, like, I'm not like, hey man, I'm BB Swing and I did this and did that. Because once I start doing that, the normal person, they're like, oh, this guy thinks he's, you know, and so I don't even do that anymore. Half the time I just kind of keep to myself the things I did, you know. As I get to know you, I will be like, hey, you know, you don't know this, but I did a song with Tupac. They're like, you did what? I'm like, no, I did. You know, look, people start, like, one of the younger people at my work will start talking about, like, I was listening to Mexican OT the other day, you know, and I'm like, oh yeah, Mexican OT is cold. You know, that boy, they're like looking at me like, sir, I'm like, oh yeah, Mexican OT is one of the dopest right now. What are you talking about? So I get judged on all angles of that. I have to be careful. You'll catch me changing the way I speak and everything because of the type of job I do. You know what I'm saying? So I do have to be. Luckily, marijuana became legal in Ohio lately, so now they can't really say much about that because I've always been an advocate of that. Yeah, I deal with it on all ends. And something I told you earlier I didn't really get to touch on is when I was 19, my cousin, the one I told you we all grew up together, the one that was my age, he ended up getting shot and dying in my arms when I was 19. And the new album that I released, that Cold September, is all about what I went through from that point on for the next 15 years. Through them years, I worked with all them artists. I also worked with like a lot of Bone. You know, Bone stole a song from me. I did 10 songs with Bone and Mo Thugs. Remember Mo Thugs and Bone? Yeah. And I worked with like Looney Coleon, Sticky Fingers. You know, I worked with a lot of artists. I recorded an album with DJ Quick's producer in California. His name was G1 916 Music is what it was, and I never got to release it. There's a whole story behind that I never got to tell, but it's so messed up. But that time period of music, that time period, there's nothing like it. It's never going to be like that again. That's all I can say. People just can't fathom what it was like. You know
All right,
what I
so
mean?
let me
And
ask
what
you
I
this.
did.
Let me ask you this. So 15, you meet your biological father for the first time. 2 days into meeting him, he's got you rocking it up.
Oh, strung out. Yeah, he got me all messed up.
Okay. Fast forward at 19, 4 years after that, your cousin that you was raised with as your brother basically
Yeah.
died in your arms. Can you, if you don't mind, talk a little bit about the situation and talk a little bit about how do you recover from 2 tragedies basically in 4 years?
That's what I can tell you this. Like, the night of it happening will never leave my mind. There's a lot of music out there. The song Running from the Devil, that song, I recorded that song on the corner where it happened. If you want to watch that, like I said, the new album, Cold Cold September, touches on the 15 years after that. I had delusions, years of drug addiction that I never thought I would escape, never thought I could escape. And it overcame me to the point where, it overcame my body to the point where I tried to quit 1,000 times, drug rehabs, you name it, kept it under my hat and under a secret. It was ruining my career at times. I did all that music. Like when I was so bad when I flew to New Orleans to do that song with Wayne and them. My biggest worry was, could I make it a day or two without using dope? And I somehow made it through those. As soon as I get back, I'd screw up all my money. I was doing big shit and I just kept on fucking it up and trying to be quiet about it. And then what happened was I had done a lot and I thought I used up everything and would never have another chance. I was about 30 years old and I had an opportunity again to work with a guy named Paul Monet, who was the creator of Tybo. And but he had just did 2 years in prison for tax evasion. Yeah, Tybo. Now Billy Blanks was the front man. This guy was the creator behind it. And long story short, he was worth $400 million. When I walked in the building with Paul, they considered him the godfather of infomercials. Infomercials was a big thing back then. So we didn't sit down with no A&Rs. We sat down with the head of Sony, the head of Universal, So that's who had me recording that album with DJ Quick's producer, G1, I was talking about earlier. But I was still screwed up at this point on drugs. And so while I'm on these trips, I got people with me. They're keeping me supplied so that way at night I could be good. And long story short, I record the album. This dude's paying me not to work at the time. I remember he met me at my work and I told him he's playing some rap music. He's like 70 years old. I said, I'm way colder than that. Give me 24 hours. I'll blow that away. He came back, for real, in 24 hours, put my CD in, told me to go on and quit my job, like doubled my pay. It was crazy. Took care of me for the next 6 months. So I did all this and did the album with him, did all that. He was consolidating some assets at the time. And the feds set him up and posed as something else. And 10 days before Christmas, this is before the internet was popping real hard. I opened up the newspaper and there he is on the front page. Blood Diamond. He owned Mike Tyson's mansion over here in Youngstown. He was selling that. So they set him up, took all of that. He did 14 years in prison. He's out now. Netflix picked up his story. You'll be seeing his story on Netflix and I'll be a part of that. But yeah, when that happened, believe me when I tell you, after everything else, I thought it was over. I would never have a chance. That God was never going to let me, guide anybody and do the things I'm supposed to do with music, right? So long story short, I was recording a lady who did self-healing CDs. Her name was Cheryl Langford. She had the Cheryl Langford show up here, pretty popular. All she did was basically talk over piano parts about healing your soul and making, how God's going to come into your life and heal your soul. and I would record it for her. Well, I told her I wrote this song called Not Here Now for my cousin and that it would fit what she does. So I gave it to her, and the next week she came back from for her session, and I said, "You didn't listen to that song, did you?" She said, "How do you know?" I was like, "Because you would have said something, you know, I mean, if you would have heard the song." So she said, "Give it to me one more time." So I gave it to her. A couple minutes later, she came running back in the building, you know, Mike, that song. I'm doing this convention for victims of families who have dealt with murder. Would you like to come tell your story and sing your song about your cousin? I was like, sure. I didn't think nothing of it. All I could think about was 7 o'clock. I needed my fix. You know what I'm saying? Was about 2 months went by. It came time for the night of the show. I didn't even have a car. I was recording a guy named Matthias Collins, who was an angel, a seminal minister, and a psychiatrist by trade. He looks like 50 Cent and sounds like Aaron Neville. This dude is incredible. You know what I mean? Really, really cool dude. Wonderfully talented person too. So I'm telling him what I'm supposed to do, and he's like, "Mike, let me take you." I'm like, "No, I ain't going, man. You know, I ain't going. I didn't even bring my guitar." He goes, "Man, you can use my guitar. I'll take you." I'm like, "All right." You know, we get there. I walk into the Johnson Center, which is a lot bigger than I thought it was. Place is packed, 1,000 people. They hand me the pamphlet. I'm the main speaker on the pamphlet. I'm like, holy shit. You know, I'm like, oh no. So she comes and grabs me, walks me backstage. And while I'm backstage, I listen to a bunch of 8-year-olds and 12-year-olds and 20-year-olds tell their stories about what they had been through and what they were going through. A couple weeks prior, I almost beat the brakes. I did beat the brakes off some dude. I thought I was going to kill him. And my old lady at the time was messing around with him, but I deserved it. I was a piece of shit. And so she was, but that's what my cousin got killed over, basically, was that. But throughout my life, I couldn't understand it. You know what I mean? I just couldn't get a grasp on it. So I'm backstage and people are talking. That moment had happened 2 weeks prior. That's all in my head. And it hits me all in one foul moment that my cousin did die for a reason. He died over love. And that anybody drunk off their ass, young, stupid, could make this one-time mistake of killing somebody over love. And so this feeling of forgiveness came over me that I can't explain. And all the feelings of addiction left my body at that moment. And I walked out on stage. She's like, "Mike, you're up." You know, I walk out on stage. I tell everybody I've been fucked up till now. You know, I tell them what I went through, how it was like the night of my cousin's death. I play the song for my cousin. I get about halfway through it. I'm at the chorus. I'm like, "I know you're not here now, but you're right there." And I'm pushing it out real hard, and these tears are starting to come out of my eyes. So it's hard. I lift my head up, and I mean the whole crowd, the cameraman, they could barely hold the camera, just bawling, you know. So I get through the song. I'm like, "Thank you," you know. And to top it all off, she's like, Mike, hold on, you know. Before you leave the stage, what was your cousin's name? One more time." I said his name was Scott Bash. She goes, "It's just a coincidence, but we're going in alphabetical order." They had this big like stack of candles that went to the ceiling, you know. She's like, "And we're going in alphabetical order. Would you like to come light a candle for your cousin?" So they give me this torch thing, and I go over and I light the candle, and they all light and go up at the same time. Dude, I get chills in my spine just talking about it. But I can tell you this, from that moment on, I never had the feeling of addiction in my body again. It was amazing, man. I mean, if you would have known what it was like before that, you know what I mean? You couldn't fathom that I would ever be able to stop. And it just all happened. Just like that. It was crazy.
Would you credit the presence of understanding to curing your addiction?
Yes, that and me understanding that my cousin did die for a reason. And that because all them years, you know, I'm walking around, I was questioning God all the time. You know, I was questioning, you know, like, man, how could you let this happen? And he was the baddest dude I ever knew. Tough as nails. I mean, He got shot 3 times in the chest, twice in the back, walked up a flight of steps, woke me up out of bed and died in my arms. Last words he ever said was, "Help me, Mike." Baddest dude on the planet, too. I mean, just you, and then, man, it was, I questioned it for years. You know what I mean? I did. I got on my knees and asked God 1,000 times. And I realized since then, and this could help other people too, this little piece of advice is, it's not our job to even ask or question. It's our job to understand that everything's in line. As bad as some shit seems, everything happens for a reason. And 20 years down the line, it's all going to make sense, because all them lefts and rights you have to take on your path to go forward, that's what sprouts everything else and brings it back together. You understand what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, when the picture's done, everything around you is there because of that happening. You know what I mean? A lot of people don't realize that, but a lot of traumatic experiences in 20 years of living afterwards will help you realize that. That's
How
all.
important? How important is forgiveness?
Most important. Very most important. You lose if you don't forgive, because it's you're fighting against then. You know what I'm saying? Somebody else might be like, and you're over here like, ugh. You know what I mean? You're going to be the one losing every time. Forgiveness is the most important key. It's one of the keys to understanding. Really is.
You mentioned that 2 weeks prior to you getting on this stage and giving your testimony,
Hmm.
that you had a situation, and you admit, you said you were a piece of shit.
Yeah, I was.
How much do you credit the trauma of your cousin dying to all those years leading up to that moment?
I mean, here's the thing. Before my cousin died, my dad did that to me. And I always thought, like, you know, back then too, I could blame my dad, I could blame my cousin's death. But the truth is, I gotta blame society at the time, because they put things like marijuana in the same category as cocaine. You know what I mean? Back then.
Back then,
No.
yeah, back
Yeah.
then.
Yeah. This is your brain on drugs. So when I did marijuana, you know what I mean? I was like, ooh, you know, it ain't that bad. Let me try some cocaine. You know what I mean? That's,
Right.
back then you thought like that. Let me do a little liquor. Let me try some acid. Let me do, because they put it all in the same category. Nowadays we're a little more intelligent than that, and we can explain to our kids, hey, you know what I mean? Listen, you're gonna mess with this, you might mess with this. What you need to know is this. Cocaine will take it all from you. You know what I mean? And ruin your life. It's addictive to your body. If you get a chance to explain that now. Back then, the parents didn't know like they know right now. And so I got to blame that for the most part, because I was ignorant and didn't know, even though I was led by my father, you know what I mean, who I was looking up to. So when I had a reason to crumble, that was it. I did got to say one thing good about my dad. About 7 months after it happened, I was literally face down in the gutter. I mean, my dad, and I hadn't seen my dad for years. And I remember my dad picking me up with one arm up out of the gutter and telling me to get up. He's going to help me get me back on my feet. And he took me to his house, made me get a job. It's all happened in a couple weeks, and helped me uh, helped me save a couple checks to get a car.
Okay.
But, and then I got a car and moved on. I mean, truth, but he was that type of person. He was also the type of person I had was giving him my checks for my first son to be born, and then I turned around and they were gone. You know what I mean? So he had his moments, you know what I mean? And I learned after some years, like, I couldn't, like, as much as I wanted to be there for him, like his own brothers and his own mother had to, you know, it got to that point, like, and he died at 72 of a drug overdose. You know what I mean? I did get to do some music with him the day before, and
Okay.
we got to get together and fuck around and do some music. Excuse my French, and that's a blessing to me. He's given me advice. He said some shit to me a few times that I thought it probably would have crumbled most people like me. He told me, he said, Mike, man, I spent my whole life doing music. I've helped so many people, and look at me. That's what he said to me once. And I had picked him up at 6:30 in the morning in Columbus. I was on a whim out there working with Haystack. And I was on a whim thinking, uh, I might do a hot song and maybe something might come from this. And I was paying for everything out of my pocket for me. And my dad was calling me. He knew I was up there and asking me to come pick him up. A couple of the people I was with, Daryl Ross, they're all from Columbus and super Columbus savages. They're like, no, you can't go to that neighborhood. They're going to rob you if you go over there. So I went early in the morning, picked him up, took him out to breakfast. He was asking me for money the whole time. I got him cigarettes. I got him what he needed. And he said that to me. He said, Mike, I spent my whole life doing music, helping people do music. And this is where it led me. And most people, what I always tell people is we strive to be better than our parents. It ain't easy, but we do. And what I always tell people is I could have took it like, oh, my God, I have to stop.
Right.
You know what I mean? But instead, I took it like, you don't want me to crumble. You know what I mean? Like, you're telling me this because you don't want me to end up like you.
Right.
Not because you want me to stop doing music. So, I mean, I've also had them tell me shit like, and my dad was extremely talented. I think more talented than me. But he would say, you're so much more talented than me. Shit like that. And he used to tell me that, I think, to just keep me going and keep me doing it. I know you know that there was a time when age was a thing. You know what I mean? Like,
I was going to lead up.
Yeah, if you hit 30, it was over. You know what I mean? Like, shit.
Finito.
Yeah.
So I gotta ask, with the emergence of country rap, because definitely being in these circles that you were in, there was no thing called country rap.
Right.
You're in the circle amongst hip hop icons. You're one of those people that we need to talk about when we say hip hop is 50. You're there at the cornerstone.
Yes,
so
sir.
At what point were you introduced? Because you mentioned that you was from the sticks.
Yeah.
So at what point did you go from being this white guy?
Can I be honest? I
Yeah.
never had met, even seen a black person before I moved to the projects.
Okay.
Never even seen one. I'm talking about it was dirt floor, bathroom, really bad. The whole family living in one little shack. And then my mom moved in with her sister eventually into the projects. And there was times we didn't have food. And I went through the stages of other people can't really fathom this. Like, I did this thing for a while, this pale face player thing, and I got tattoos and everything, you know what I mean? And now, since the world is the way it is now, people look at me like, oh, he's this. I'm like, no, they gave me this in the hood. What are you talking about? Like they named me this. What are you talking about? Like, but I can remember, like, I had to go through it to get to that. You know what I mean? I remember walking through yards, getting hit with rocks, like, get out my yard, white boy, shit like that too. You know what I mean? And I had to go to Schrader's, the neighborhood store, just like everybody else. And what I did was I puffed up my chest, and I respected everybody, and I made sure I commanded respect, and I got it. You know what I mean? Back then, and people loved me. And it went from people trying to jump me in to them telling them, me being the only white dude allowed, some corny shit, but for real.
No, I know.
I know you know. I know you know. But other people don't fathom that. If you try to talk about that nowadays, it's like, he's prejudiced. I'm like, no, you don't understand. I mean, you weren't there. Like, you can't fathom. And I'm not talking about no city projects. I didn't come from no city projects. If you can look this up, it's called Walnut Hills. And I grew up like on Arapahoe and around there. And those roads, that's like, it's an old Indian reservation. And now it's full of like a bunch of Guatemalans. It was all black. And then before that, it was all Indians. And then before that, it was like a World War II something. It's all little tiny little brick buildings, all exact the same, little brick houses, But that neighborhood, man, I mean, I had guns in my head. I mean, you name it. I've been through it like a real, that's the real country hood. You know what I mean? Like, I've been through some country hoods in Tennessee and Nashville too that are rough, and kind of like some of the ones around my house now. Like, there's some around here, like one we call Green Acres right up the street. That's right. It reminds me of all the ones in Tennessee I go through. But I mean, this one was like, you know, in between the buildings and alley out in the woods and the sticks, all the little, it was rough, rough.
What was it like? Because we talked about aging out in hip hop, but at some point in time, you were introduced, number one, to people who done what you do, who look like you, and
Right.
all of a sudden it's this emergence of this thing called country rap.
I know.
And with country rap, there's no aging out. There's no
I
real
know,
aging
but can I be honest all the way about it?
out.
Like, that's kind of why I'm stepping out of the rap part of it. Like, I have always been an innovator, and anyone that, as you move along and you talk to the people that truly know me, that I help mold, all the John Connors in their lives, the John Widowmakers, all them dudes I've been with throughout the growth, they'll tell you, you know what I mean? Like, when it comes to this thing right here, I've been wearing this on stage, and ain't no too many rappers out here herding cattle. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, and they got this thing going on right now where they talk about, and I hate to say it, like church is doing it a lot, talking about like, you ain't country
That's
enough,
good enough.
you ain't country enough, you ain't, you know, you shouldn't be doing this, you ain't country enough. But the truth is, I was just talking about this last night, and I got into a heated debate with some hip hop dudes I know that have been hip hop oriented for a long time, Area 51. And they respect me because I was there with them when they started. And I said, look, rap music, rap, not hip hop, is the beginning. And before that, they was chanting. But I'm saying, when you think about the musical source, it's rap. Hip hop is a genre of rap. Because when you think about artists like Charlie Daniels, people like that, they don't consider that hip hop. The devil went down to Georgia. He was looking for a soul to steal. He was in a bind. He was way behind, and he was willing to make a deal. That's rap music.
That's rap.
That's
Who's
rap
that?
music. That's rap music. And so hip hop is a genre. Then there's subgenres, just like country rap is a genre, or urban country. And then you got country rap, and you're going to have all different. You're going to have emo country rap. You're going just like you had rock. You got rock. Now you got emo rock. Now you got this kind of rock. You got techno rock. You got heavy metal. You got thrash. You got, I mean, you got all these different versions. And so it is small. But I used to tell people this. If you look back on my page on YouTube, I got an electronic press kit that I put out 20 years ago. And I talk about wearing the cowboy hat on stage and why I did it. And I did a couple, like, this is the very first country rap song type shit back then. You know what I mean? But I didn't do it. I said this too. I didn't rap about chipmunks and squirrels and using saws and, you know what I mean, riding my tractor.
Right.
So there's two different versions, or it might be 10. But right now there's two. You got country rap and you got Southern hip hop or Southern rap. And it's two different things. You got 8 Ball and MJG, then you got the original Upchurch, the Redneck, and Colt Ford type shit. You know what I mean? Where it's, and I get it. And then you got, hey, there's another one too. I call it urban country. Then you got Morgan Wallen. You know what I mean? And you got, I mean, Jelly Rolls evolved into this. You know, I get compared to Jelly Roll a lot. We did a few things together early on. I had a couple of the same managers. So, I mean, somebody just confused. It was hilarious. Somebody didn't recognize me because I lost a bunch of weight the other day. They said, hey, yeah, I was at the store talking to somebody about chicken wings, and he looked just like Jelly Roll. I said, dude, it's me, you dumbass. He goes, oh, shit, you lost a ton of weight. I was like, yeah. Yeah, but no, hey, all I'm saying is there's a lot of comparisons going on right now. I know some talented dudes out here. They don't realize this. Now you get down south and a lot of them are like spitting at you with a piece of straw hanging out of their mouth, talking about country rap and, you know, is this, that, and the other. And then you got, but they don't realize, go to the West Coast, because it's called the Wild West for a reason.
Yeah.
I mean, it's everywhere. It always has been. And there's always been someone like me trying to be an innovator. And I ain't gonna lie. When it first started happening, it felt like a little bit of a knife. You know what I mean? In my side, I'm out on stage. I can remember putting a cowboy hat on with Haystack. I'm out on stage and I go to put my cowboy hat on. He kind of looked at me crazy. He's like, what are you doing? I said, this is what I do. And I went out there and tore it up. You know what I mean? And then we did a tour and we did a few things. And I kid you not, and I'm not dogging nobody. All of a sudden, I turn around and everybody I knew in rap had a cowboy hat on. Now, that was 6 or 8 years ago. Now, I turned on my TV and everyone's beard is kind of gray. And I said, man, I'm done.
I gotta ask this question. You speak on being an innovator.
Yeah.
And we've had Master P, Lil Romeo. We've had T.I., now his son, Money. Will Smith and Jaden. Man, what's it like to put out an album with your son, man?
Oh, that was awesome. That was totally awesome. And I'm glad you brought that up. My son that kid's blessed. Now, I don't know what to label his music, and I'm just letting him do what he's doing right now, because I have a tendency to break things up and turn them into perfect songs. And I don't want to do that with his stuff, because hip hop's taken another direction. And I don't think that's it. You know, I don't think it's absolutely perfect like it used to be. So I'm letting him do his own thing, and I've been helping him. But it was awesome. I wanted to say this too. You mentioned Master P. I was on tour when Master P came out.
What was that like?
That was awesome, because the whole music game changed. Master P, it went from like this hip hop feel, you hear me, to this bounce. And I was out on tour with this, and everything changed. So luckily, we had producers out on tour. I was in an all-white rap group called Another Breed. And we did an album with a record label. They were a subsidiary of Def Jam called Red Entertainment.
I remember Red.
Yeah. And I was on tour with them in my landscape with the Mafioso. That's 350's brother from Face Mob, 350 from Face Mob. Guy named 101. He was on the original song from Graveyard Shift with Bone. He did the original song with them. And Ify Wan, like a female rapper. And then my group. So we was out on tour, on this big tour, and we were doing the Onyx in Miami. And they had, I want to say it was Puff Daddy. I can't remember who was out right before Master P, you know, and it sounded like a chipmunk. I was like, oh shit, man, we're in trouble. So the crowd wanted that. So right after that show, we switched up the whole game, man. Before we hit the Carolinas, we switched up the whole game, and it worked for us. But before that, it was just starting to crumble. But Master P changed that whole set. He did.
Correct me if I'm wrong. You've had an opportunity to work with Upchurch. What was that like?
Yeah, I did. He was just kind of coming up. I was on tour with Cashville. That was his manager at the time, Johnny Cashville. And Johnny, you know, real recognized real. Johnny knew what I could do, you know, so he hit me up and was like, hey, I got this young kid, blah, blah, blah. He's going to be the world's best country rapper, world's best this. And, you know, I ain't going to lie. I giggled. I was like, man, a country rapper, all right, whatever, you know. So I wrote them songs. That's me playing. I wrote Country Way. I wrote She's a Little Bit Country. I wrote Black Smoke. And I wrote the one I'm on to Shoot the Moon with him. We got a video together too. Anyway, when I met him, we kind of hit it off. You know what I mean? We met, and I listened to him. I played the guitar a little bit. He sang a little bit of one of them some other artists like some Leonard Skinner or something like that. And so we hit it off a little bit. And we go to do the problem was I was driving a minivan. I think if I would have pulled up in a big truck, I would have been included a little bit tighter. I ain't gonna lie. But no, so when I did say some shit that I think pissed everybody off, but mark my word on this. When I see things, I see the real picture. When I seen Upchurch, I said, man, y'all are really focusing on the wrong thing. I was like, y'all should be, this dude is the next, he's gonna be a superstar. I'm like, this dude is gonna be the next Ernest P. Worrell. And they looked at me like, what? Don't say that to him. I'm like, no, seriously. Like, it's going to be the next. Mark my word. If they don't do Upchurch goes to school, Upchurch goes to camp, Upchurch goes to jail. If they don't do that, they missed out. They missed out. That's billions of dollars and lifelong time of. And so at first they was pissed, right? And I did the other songs, and they didn't give me the proper I didn't get my credits right. You know what I'm saying? So the only credit I was able to snag out of it was my performance credit on the song. I got a couple little tiny $50 royalty checks from that. But I honestly, I know a couple of them albums went platinum and gold. I should be having them plaques on my wall. You know what I mean? I don't get to have them. My mama knows what happened. But
you know,
anyway,
let me time you out there. Let me time you out there. You can actually get those plaques, like if you're willing to pay for them.
Yeah, I know.
And if you've been credited on those, if they sign off, you can get the RIAA to issue those plaques. You just have to.
Yeah, I'd like to. I'd like to just to have them on my wall. You know what I mean? But I know that they're a little bit taxing. You know, I ain't hating on any of that. But all I'm saying is shortly after, I seen a video with Church walking in a room. They had a big picture of Pac on one side of the wall and Ernest P. Worrell on the other. I ain't gonna lie. Dog, I'm telling you, that dude has got a lot of talent and he's a dope ass rapper. I ain't hating on Church. You know, I done cussed him out a few times. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna lie. But I ain't hating on him. It's like Jelly Roll. I ain't hating on Jelly Roll, but I did a show with Jelly once and he got all pissed off and in his feelings because people were talking to me. And this is the real truth. I'm gonna put it out there. And ever since then, like everybody left me alone, you know, like and I know he's a big power in Nashville, you know what I mean? And we had some of the same managers and we know all the same people. I'm talking about all of them. We know them all the same. And I never had no animosity. There's more to it too. When I shot the video with Church up in Nashville, he called me, Jelly Roll. What you doing in Nashville? This is my city. You're supposed to tell me when you coming to Nashville. Yeah, for real. I'm like, oh, I'm the big homie. I don't tell nobody shit. I just pull up. You know what I mean? Like,
That's
what
what the
up?
big homies do. We just pull up.
Yeah, I just pull up. You know what I mean? So, I mean, but it is what it is. I try to tell him, hey, there's a million reasons, you know, we should probably work together. You know what I mean? I know the same people that wrote all his songs, all the David Rays and them, you know, some talented people. You know what I mean? And I ain't, all I'm saying is, I want to get this clear is I'm not hating on any of them. I got love for all of them. With Church, my situation was, even though he wasn't in control of the crediting and stuff like that, he was on the show like No Jumpers and shit like that. They was playing the shit I did. I'm in his documentary movie. They're playing the shit I did all over the place. And you know, you had a chance right then. Instead of saying some guys helped me do that, you know, you could have been, that could have been your chance to give me a little shot of a ray of sunlight, you know, and say, hey, no, this dude named BB Swing, he really did come drive down from Ohio and, you know, he did all this shit for $200. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, and that would have helped me out because I don't know if you play any instruments, but I played every instrument in all them songs. And when you play, and when I hear them harmonica notes stretch and them fingers on the strings, that shit's, that hurts a little bit, knowing that I ain't ever really got nothing from that.
Are you self-taught in every instrument?
Every instrument. Yeah, I play about 9 different instruments, mostly stringed, but I play some like the, you know, the harmonica, I play the keys, you know, stuff like that. But I play like ukulele, banjo, you know, a lot of that stuff. Guitar, bass.
We got a few minutes. All right, the first thing before
all right,
we close it out, we got to do a part 2 because I got like 10 questions in my head fishing. I just have this 60-minute rule I try to stay to.
that's what's up.
We got to do a part 2, bro, because I got questions that I haven't even asked that I got to ask.
I'm sorry I kept talking. I was just trying to be clear.
No, bro. Like when we talk about history, accolades, milestones, cornerstones, like, bro, people like me and you, we have an opportunity to really educate the young generation on this music. So, because people might want to call it country rap, or they might want to call it rap or hip hop, whatever name you put on it, there's 2 words that exemplifies everything. And those 2 words are music business. Right. And we need people out there that can tell some of these young people, okay, like you mentioned about your credits. Someone's got to be willing to say, look, man, I got love for this dude because you ain't said anything bad. Anyone who watches this and feel like you said something bad, they don't understand or they're a hater.
Right.
You're just basically saying in so many words, look, bro, I jumped out there, I took a leap of faith.
Right.
Maybe I didn't sign the right things, but didn't nobody bring me the right things to sign either.
I got to be real. I didn't sign shit. Them
Right.
boys, they signed it for me. So,
But there are a lot of people now, even now in 2024, who are probably doing stuff like that. And we got to
oh
tell
yeah,
them, you got to protect you, because once that ball get to rolling, you can't stop it. You can't be like, hey. So
right.
you got to protect you. Like, it's a lot of people are afraid to have those conversations. Like, hey man, what's my compensation? Oh, you give me
Right.
$50? Cool. Oh, so you gonna
Right.
give me $50 in a percentage?
Right.
You know, a lot of people are afraid to have those conversations,
They're not
and we
even having them no more. They're
right,
just,
just doing it.
here's the beat. Here's this. But hey, I wanted to say this too. I just did a country rap pack with John Connor. I don't know if you guys seen that. It's a beat pack that's out there. I don't know how much longer it's out there, but country rap pack. I'm on there, and I seen somebody did some remixes. I've already got a remix with me and Bubba Sparks out there. I sent it to you.
Michi
Yeah,
mix, Michi
yeah,
mix,
yeah,
Michi.
yeah.
I
That
see.
dude, he's doing his thing. He hit me up on the side too. That's a good dude right there, man. He puts his work in there for sure.
How do you feel about the term country rap, or do you
I
like
don't
hip?
like it.
You
I
don't
don't
like hip?
like it. I don't like hip hop. I don't like I said, I wanted to say this, man. Being called a redneck and being called a hillbilly was a slang word when I was a kid that was considered like, you took it like, ooh, I ain't no hillbilly. I ain't don't call me that just because I'm country, just because I'm this, because I'm a little backwards, because my driveway is made of sand, what? But I mean, people have a tendency to they glorify shit like that and wonder why we're having issues. You know what I mean? I'm just keeping it 100, man. I got grandkids out here, and I see their future, and I'm watching a lot of people go from like what I know they ain't to pretend. And I ain't talking about artists. I'm talking about people.
Yeah.
People that live here and that right off in the city are driving around in trucks pretending to be, and I guess there ain't nothing wrong with leaning that direction, being a country boy and leaning that direction, but they're like over there screaming shit they don't even understand. You know what I mean? It's kind of, and to me, it's a fad. It's turning into a fad.
Gotcha.
That's what I'm saying. And it ain't a lifestyle no more, because when it was a lifestyle, that was considered not cool. You know what I mean? You can't just call somebody that and be okay with it. You know what I mean? I was talking about that. It might seem cheesy and corny because so many people are doing it now, but to me, I always looked at it like that. You know, I did. So
Sometimes it definitely creates a form of separation.
it does. I was like, man. So I try to, I don't know, I'm switching. You'll only hear pretty much country from me unless somebody's paying me to do a project on the side from here on out. Besides me selling, I got a bunch of beats and stuff too I sell, but if somebody wants to pay me to do a rap verse or a rap hook or something on something, I'll do it. But I'm working on country soul music. I call it Ohio fed country soul. It's like a soulful version of country. I do all genres. I'm playing. What makes me different too is I play all the instruments. So when you listen to my music, it ain't a bunch of studio musicians. It's when you hear that guitar flub or that string or that piano key, that's my hand. And that makes it a little more special, I think. I don't know.
I want to close it out. You had a very, very strong 2023. You released three full-length projects. You released the father-son cookout, which I mentioned with your son Tyler. You released Cold Cold September, as well as the latest Tatted and Bruised.
Yeah.
What separates those three projects, and why three projects in a year?
Well, I also released a solo album of my son's too is out. Just the Tyler Owens self destruction album is out too. That's probably why it's just labeled Tyler Owens. But my son and I had been working on that album off and on. My other son's on there too. Both my other sons. They're on there on a couple songs. Clay Owens is on a song. He goes by Mr. Freezy. He's on a song or two too. But I always been wanting to do, like, I knew I was coming towards the end of my rap. So I wanted to make sure I did a project with my sons. And that's why I did that. And I thought the Father and Son Cookout was pretty innovative name. You know what I mean? And then my son released his album, the Tyler Owen Self Destruction. And then the Cold Cold September album, what that is my last hip hop album, the oriented album. The only reason I call it that is because the last song on there, the rest of the album is about me. The Cold Cold September is about me letting go of what happened to my cousin. And every September, how it kind of comes back and haunts me. So this is my way of letting it go. If you listen to the album from beginning to end, it'll really touch you differently now because I told you that.
Yeah.
And then Tattooed and Bruised album, that's just another country soul album, Ohio Fed country soul album for me. Just a collection of stuff I've been doing over the last year. It's going to get way, way better. The stuff I'm working on right now is next level. What I'm trying to do is bring in a team, a little tighter team. It's just hard when I do it all myself. So I'm working with some people, and I'm thinking things are going to get better, even better this year, musically. Anyway.
So I got a quick question on the Cold Cold September album. You worked with someone who is very, very near and dear to me, my guy Jabs. How'd you link up with Jabs?
I met him through like Bubba Sparks and my dude Scram, who was on the album. Last year, I released an album called Brick to the Wood. It's got like 16 features on it. All kinds of people, man. Kremro, he's on this one too. Scram. And then I met Scram. They were in a group called
Animal House.
Yeah, yes. And I did a song for them called Hell Raising. And that's when I first met Jabs. And then just over the years, he touched in, and I made a post. Somebody was supposed to drop on that song, Death Around the Corner. The intro to that Cold Cold September is the intro to the album. Then it leads into I See Death Around the Corner. You know what I mean? Like that. And it kind of starts off that album like that. So the original guy I was going to have on there had been through a lot of traumatic shit, and he couldn't even do it. He was like, man, I can't even do it. You know, so I respect that, man. You know, I'm not going to push you to do it. You know what I mean? I knew he would have like cried on there, and I kind of wanted that, you know what I mean? Because that's what I was going for. I wanted him to let go like I was doing. You know what I mean? But then when I told Jabs about it, he was like, no, he played a song for me. I was like, okay, yeah, you're on it. I was like, yeah, you're on it. So yeah, I'm glad we got to work together too. I know he wanted to work with me too, since it was going to be my last jump on it. So,
Widowmaker. Widowmaker is making some noise right now.
Yeah, he is.
What was it like collabing with Widowmaker on Big Noise?
I've known John for I call him Fate. I've known him for 25 years. Long time. It ain't nothing new. He was on the Brick to the Wood album too. And honestly, I've got recordings of him from 25 years ago that would blow your mind, when he used to go by Fate, real cold. Man, I called him the White Pac back then. He was so cold. He was. And he's a savage. My boy's from Vegas. He's from the Wild Wild West. Like I said, over there, they introduced me to that years ago. And I used to tell people, like, you thought these white boys down south were crazy? You better go out west, because them dudes are nuts, for real. I'm like, I didn't even want to go back. I'm like, no, y'all go ahead. I'll stay right here in Ohio. For real. But yeah, so I've known them for a long time. Good dude, solid dude. I shouldn't even touch on it, but there's a lot going on in his life with his ex and some shit like that. You know what I mean? That's going to push him forward. I'm not going to touch on that, but it's just crazy. You know what I mean? The shit that the underground knows, just nuts. But I don't know if we'll ever see that come to light or not. I really don't care. I just wish the best for him and Jelly Roll and all of them. You know what I mean? I ain't got no hate on nobody. I want to see everybody eating and being successful without wanting to kill each other. You know what I mean?
You know what? I'm very respectful being in the media space. I hear a lot of things. I just don't bring them to the camera.
Right.
I don't want to be known as that type of media.
Right. I feel it. Yeah,
there are people who don't like me just for being me, but I don't think that's my place, even though I hear things. That's just
right.
not what I want to be.
I feel it. Yeah, just know you don't even got to, since you're going to be able to edit this, you know what I mean, whatever. But yeah, you don't ain't that shit. I think was going to hit the fan someday. You know what I mean? Someday it might.
Well,
Just not,
let's
but
hope
I
not.
don't
Let's
care.
hope
Like
not.
I said, it's not going to do anything for me. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So I don't care. And even if it would, I would just try to stay away from something like that. You know what I mean? Just, but yeah, that's my dude. He's a savage. If you can cut me on right now, John Widowmaker's a savage. That dude's he's gonna do some big things in this country rap genre. He's kind of changing it to like he's really gonna bring that look. You know what I mean? That crisp, Stetson cowboy rapper. You know what I mean? For real. And he's about as real as they come too. So you're gonna like him in the future. I see big things for him, man.
yeah,
He
he's
just, he's had a rough coming in the last few years, so he's gonna be right though.
he's a monster. He's a monster. Before we go, what would be your words of advice to a youngster trying to get into this music business? We ain't gonna say country rap. We're gonna say music business.
I'd say spend some time focusing on learning music a little bit and how it's made and the reason why you do things when you're recording music, or put a lot of money into recording music and get the best engineers and the best team, depending on which way you want to go. So if you want to just be that stay-at-home artist and do songs and put them out on DistroKid and have it be pretty good, you can get away with a nice little Pro Tools setup, or they use all different kinds of setups now. You can get an FL Studio setup if you want, make some really hot stuff, or you can put a lot of money into it, get the best production team, hit the studios, and try to put out the best music you can and try to compete with the best. But either way, if you wanted my advice, it would be do what you love. Your time as a youth is the shortest time of your life. Do whatever makes you happy. You know what I mean? And focus on it and put all your heart and soul into it if you want to be successful. That's all I can tell you. You know what I mean? But there's different ways to do music. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna. You could sit at home with a ukulele and play music if that's what you want to do. You know what I mean? And write songs. You don't need to do anything special. Music is music. You know what I mean? Spend do with it what you will. You know what I mean? That's what I'm gonna say about music. Does that make any sense?
Make
I'm
all this
not
sense
trying.
for it. BB Swain, it's been an honor and a pleasure, guy. We're gonna link up so we can do a second part.
Yes, we will. Man, thanks, man. I appreciate you, man.
Appreciate you, my G. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that's my guy. I hope y'all learned something. I hope y'all learned something. That's my guy, legend, BB Swain. Hey, man, if y'all haven't had an opportunity already, please, my man dropped. He's dropping like crazy, man. Check out Tattooed and Bruised. Check out Cold Summer. Check out the Father and Son Cookout. Check out anything when you see that name, BB Swain. If you're not up on what he's done, make sure you get up on what he's done when it comes to his history in this music game. All right. It's your boy Big XL. This is the Country Rap Report. Salute to my guy, Chief. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Hit that like button, hit that notification bell. Remember, time is the one thing we can't get back. And if you spent any time watching me and my guy BB Swing chop it up, God bless you. I love you. Till next episode. Peace.